Welcome guys, it's happy to have you on board, and if it's your first time, consider subscribing. There's great content on the way, and hit the bell notification so that you don't miss anything.
If you have been following along this playlist, by now you are done with setting up an AWS account, and I assume you also have previous knowledge about what is cloud and AWS. So let's start learning about one of the simplest services in AWS, the Amazon S3, used for storing and retrieving files. This is going to be a two-part series for better ease of understanding. In this first part, we're going to take a look at how to create a bucket in S3, also how to upload an object, and also how to download an object from S3. Then we're going to also take a look at how to delete an object before ending the video. Files in S3 are stored inside of something called a bucket, which is a new concept that requires a bit of explanation. A lot of people use S3 for storage. Files are always being uploaded and downloaded all over the world, and everyone using it expects to see their records and no one else's. Can you imagine how embarrassing it would be if you uploaded some private pictures or videos to S3 and someone else was able to see them? Fortunately, it doesn't work that way. All the files in S3 are divided into buckets, and you can see only the files in your bucket. So, the next big question is, what is a bucket? Just like a real world bucket, a bucket in S3 is designed to hold things. Your bucket hold your files, and other buckets contain records for other people. That way, you won't share files unintentionally. S3 buckets help you keep your file private and secure. Every file on S3 must be stored in a bucket, so you can't use S3 without having at least one bucket. Let's dive in and learn how to create one. Log into your AWS account and go to the AWS Management Console. If you are having any trouble signing up to an AWS account, you can always check out my previous video where I take you through the process of signing up into an AWS account. You can find a link to that video in the description below, so please do check it out in order to continue along this video. Once you are successfully logged in, the S3 service is under the storage section. You can click on that link or search for S3 in the search box. Now we are on the S3 Management Console. As you can see, we don't have any buckets yet. So S3 is giving us some information on how to get started. It's a three-step process. The first is creating a new bucket. The second is uploading your data. And the third is setting up your permissions. To create a new bucket, you can either click on the Get Started button at the bottom or on the Create Bucket button at the top left. Now we have to type in a few pieces of information to create the bucket. The first one is the most complicated, picking a name for your bucket. The field says it has to be a DNS compliant bucket name, which means it would be a valid for the URL. You can also see there's a little info message here. The bucket name must be unique across all existing bucket names in Amazon S3. There's also something about CloudFront, but we can ignore it for now. So what does that all mean? These are the rules for naming buckets in S3. Your name has to be at least 3 characters long and no more than 63. You can also use lowercase letters, numbers, hyphens, and periods. That means you can't use uppercase, space, or special characters. The name can't start or end with hyphen or a period. You can't have two periods next to each other. And finally, if someone else has already claimed the name you want, you're out of luck. You'll have to pick a different name that isn't currently being. Fortunately, the bucket creation form is smart enough to tell you when you make a mistake with selecting a name. For example, let's say I try to create a bucket called C. Well, as you can notice, that's too short. But if I add two more characters, then the warning disappears. Now we got three characters, which is enough. But if I add a capital letter, that's not allowed. Same with special character. See, each time I try, it tells me that it's not allowed. But it's not complaining about the name CBA, at least not yet. Next, I need to select a region. As you can see, there are a lot of options. When you choose a region, you are telling S3 where in the world you want it to hold your. It doesn't make much difference since you can still access your data from anywhere in the world. However, different regions have slightly different prices, and a region that is geographically closer to you will be faster than the one. I'm going to use India, but I suggest that you use whatever region is closest to you. Now it's asking if we want to copy settings from an existing bucket. We don't have an existing bucket, so that we can skip this step. And oops, I thought this might happen. The name CBA is already taken by someone else, so I need to pick a different name. Well, how about CodeBig course? Let's see if you'll notice that I can't pick a name that ends with a dash. That's another rule that I mentioned earlier. As always, let's see if this name is taken. Great, that means it's available. We can ignore everything else on here for now. Idea. I know most love this part, so just keep pressing next button until you get to the confirmation looks or what you want. Then click create bucket. Great, congratulations. Looks like it worked. You can create multiple buckets if you want to, and that can be a good idea if you're storing multiple files that should be kept separate from each other. For example, you probably want to save pictures or videos of family, and you probably want to save copies of important documents like tax forms, but you probably want to keep them separate from each other. I'll make a new bucket for my family picture. Let's see if the name is available. Yes, it is. Next, and create. Done. Now I got two different buckets. You can have up to 100 different S3 buckets at any one time, and it will still cost you less than a penny. If you decide that you don't need a bucket anymore, you can always delete it. Select the bucket by clicking on its row in the bucket list. And don't click on the bucket name itself because that will open the bucket, which is not we want. Instead, click on the row and then click on the delete bucket button. AWS makes you confirm that you want to remove the bucket and makes you type in the name of the bucket you selected. I'll do that now since I'm sure I don't need to have to do this over 1,000 times in a month for it to cost even a penny. Plus, it's covered under the free tier, so for the first year of your AWS account, it's completely free. Now we have made an AWS account. We have also created and deleted an S3 bucket as well. Now you can store files on S3 the way it is meant to be used. You also should know that the more data you store in S3 and the longer you store it there, the more it will cost. However, if you created your AWS account less than a year ago, you get free space on S3 thanks to the free tier, so you can experiment without paying anything. If you want to know more, check out the previous video. So let's start experimenting. We'll start by opening the bucket that we created. You can select the bucket by clicking on its row in the buckets list. But in this case, we want to open it by clicking on the name of the bucket object. As you can see, the bucket is empty. So S3 is giving us information on how to get started. It's suggesting that we upload an object, set the object properties, and set object. S3 refers anything you can put into a bucket as an object, whether that's a file, a folder, or any other data you want to upload. We're going to upload and download objects, but we won't worry about object properties or permissions just yet. To upload a new file, you can either click on the Get Started button at the bottom or on the Upload button on the top left. Next, Click on the Add File button to select which file you want to upload to your bucket. You can select one file or several at once. I have this handy image right here. Why don't we put this in the S3 bucket? I'll just click on the Add File and select the image file from the desktop. And now S3 is ready to upload the file. I could click on Add More Files to add more files to this upload. Or I could click on the next button to configure some details about how S3 should store these files. But for now, let's just do the simple thing. Click on the Upload button. You'll notice that S3 shows a progress bar for when the files are uploaded. But it completed almost instantly. It looks like I'm on a fast internet connection. Just like with the bucket list we saw before, you can click on the row of the file to select it. Or I can click on the file name to open it. Opening the file in the bucket isn't very exciting. You can see some information like the last activity date and the file size. You can also click on the download button to download a copy of the archive. Hey, it's the same file I've uploaded, isn't it? Well, that's it for this video. I hope you join me in the part 2 of this video where I take you through some of the advanced features that is offered to you by the AWS S3. Thanks for following along the video, guys. I hope by now you have a basic understanding of what is a bucket and how to create and delete a bucket in S3. I hope you enjoyed the video. You can always show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing, or by heading over to patreon.com/Team CodeBig. You can find a link to all of these in the description below. If you still have any doubts, you can always ask us out on Quora or on our Team CodeBig subreddit. Thank you guys. See you in the next video. Keep coding big, keep having fun.